What's going on, y'all? This is Psych Perspectives, GeoFox. In this video, I just want to talk about this for my trans men, my trans masculine folks. Depending on how you were raised and how you were socialized, a lot of us were socialized as little girls. And the way that girls and women are socialized, in my opinion, sets you up to be used, taken advantage of, manipulated. It sets you up not to really have a sense of self. And granted, this isn't just girls and women. This can be boys and men. This can be anybody. But it seems, in my opinion, overwhelmingly, when you've been socialized as a girl, you're constantly taught to put others ahead of you, and your needs don't matter. They're not important. You're a helpmate. You're there to help. You're there to be of service. You're constantly sacrificing your own happiness. You're encouraged to do it. You're told to do it a lot of times. You don't have any real boundaries a lot of times. You're kind of like you're always the second character, and sometimes third, fourth character in your own life. But as you come into your truths, you start living your truths, honoring yourself, and you are a trans man, trans masculine, intersex man, what have you. And you start realizing, well, shit, you get to this level and you don't really have any boundaries, or like all the relationships that you find yourself being in. And this is not just romantic, but I feel like, in my opinion, romantic issues, when you're in a romantic setup, a romantic relationship setup, dynamic, to me, that's when all of the emotional trauma issues that you grew up dealing with in your childhood resurfaces like tenfold. Like, whoa. It's like, whoa. So I'm saying all this to say some of us were raised to be people pleasers, conditioned to be people pleasers. And that child is going to set you up to basically, you abandon yourself all the time. And also, let's be real, and I know a lot of people don't agree with this, but my take on it is also another form of manipulation. Now, the intent behind it isn't necessarily you trying to, you're not doing it out of malice. You're not doing it because, you're trying to be evil or bad or do something mean or evil to somebody. But it's manipulation because at the end of the day, in my opinion, if you truly had boundaries and you felt comfortable expressing your boundaries, you wouldn't be doing the shit that you're doing. You know what I mean? So it's not a genuine want a lot of times. A lot of times you're trying to get liked. You're trying to be get validation. You're trying to be approved. You want people to like you. You want people to want you to be, want them to be around you, etc., whatever it is. So you out here performing. I mean, performing. I'm talking, honey. We done did a whole J set. Like, we out here really just ha, and then it's just like you're drained. You're drained. You're tired. You end up having all of this bitterness, this resentment, because you're doing things that you really don't want to do for people that you probably don't even want to do it for, and or they're not reciprocating it. And then when they don't reciprocate it, what do a lot of us do? We get mad, we get resentful, because we're like, well, damn, I'm out here doing all of this and I'm proving that I'm of worth and blah blah blah, and you don't even appreciate it. You don't even show love back. You don't give it back. You don't reciprocate. And I'm always giving and giving and giving, and then you got to remember, nobody asked you to give. You're doing this. Now, on the flip side, always hear the cliche, it takes two to tango. You're right, it does. And what ends up happening a lot of times is that you're sitting up overperforming, and you were never asked to do it. You don't have to do it because you don't have to, but you're a people pleaser. You've been trained. This is how you've been socialized. This is how you've been conditioned. This is how you've been raised. A lot of us that are coming from dysfunctional, toxic, enmeshed, narcissistic setups, households, families, you already know, this is kind of how we were raised. This is the family dynamic a lot of times. You know, you're trying to please the person that's always angry and upset because you might become the target of their anger. So let me do the right thing so they can like me. We get it. This is how a lot of us were raised, unfortunately. And you end up foregoing your own needs, and you're tired and you're drained, and the other person may not realize it and may realize it, and they don't care because why would they? They're getting their needs met and then some. So a taker is going to continue to take. You got to remember that. You got to remember that because it's benefiting them. You running around doing this, doing that, because you want to show that you really care about them, or you like them, or you want their approval, you want their attention, you want their love, and you think, well, shoot, if I keep showing them, they're going to show it back. Eventually, it's going to be reciprocated, and that's not always the case. And again, a taker is going to continue to take. It's benefiting them. So we have to learn to stop giving when we're not receiving and more. And then also, in that same process, we also have to start learning that, hey, if my boundaries aren't being respected and my standards aren't even being met, my wants aren't being meted, I don't got to stay here, and I don't have to keep performing. I don't have to do shit. I can give you the same exact energy. And the funny thing about it is, when you give people the same exact energy, some people will respect it and be like, okay, well, that makes sense. And then others will low-key get upset at you because now they're not benefiting from you being a people pleaser. Now it's, well, you're so distant. Or you're mean. Well, I feel attacked. Right, because now I'm not tiptoeing around you and your needs and wants. I'm not overgiving and overperforming. I'm not, keeping my mouth shut so I don't upset the big bad wolf. So, yeah, a lot of us are learning that through therapy, through counseling, and then as we live our lives and live our truths as intersex men, transmasculine people. And you're learning like, whoa, I was socialized to be a damn doormat. An ass kisser, a brown noser, a people pleaser. And yes, it is a form of manipulation. Because at the end of the day, let's be real. Half the time when we're doing this shit, we don't want to do this shit. We're tired. We're mad. We know that you don't care. We feel like you don't care. We feel like we're being used. So it's like, then don't do it. And we gotta stop doing it. We ain't gotta do shit that we don't want to do. We not kids anymore. That's what I'm realizing more and more every day. We're not kids anymore. We don't have to do shit because they want us to do it. I'm grown. You're not meeting my needs. I'm getting out the fucking door. I'm not gonna sit around here and wait for you. You're wasting my time. Bye-bye. And that's okay to recognize. Recognize that y'all ain't on the same level, ain't on the same page. Shit, y'all not even the same chapter. You not even the same book. Hell, might as well not even be on the same planet in many cases with these people. But again, I feel like it always shows up, at least in my experience, shit, my opinion, my perspective, it always shows up in the romantic settings. And don't get me wrong, they show up in other relationships, like your friendships, your platonic relationships can be the same toxic dynamic if you're not paying attention. Because a lot of us overgive with our friends and then like you're not really getting anything returned back. You know what I'm saying? We overgive in familial situations. That's where a lot of us learned how to be people pleasers, was through our families, through our households. So it's like, Pull back. Pull back. Ooh. And that's another thing. It's like, when you be giving up on yourself and then you finally get back slowly but surely to yourself, and you start realizing like you literally gave up on your own life. You stop being there for your own life. Like, listen to me, Linda. You stopped being there. Actually, I guess I could just go straight. You stopped being there for your own freaking life. And then you wonder why you feel drained.